So thank you for that plug-in, Mr. Morgan, aka Mo Money on TikTok. Follow my man's real quick.
Hey, with the dollar sign at the end.
Dylan Talks. Come on, bro. Y'all gotta catch up, man. You know what I'm saying? Mine's under construction, but stay tuned. Anyways, man. Pumped up, dude. All right. So we're kind of struggling, man. We're trying to find a good topic to talk about because we've done so many. I didn't even realize we did that many episodes. So thank you guys for anybody watching this. Y'all loyal, man. We're like 20 episodes deep. So anyways, today I think it's a good idea. We should talk about balancing business and family, because I think it's really hard when you're this, not only when you're just starting off as a new entrepreneur, but also someone who's more seasoned. You've been in the game for a while. It's sometimes hard to figure out, okay, when do you spend time on business and when do you spend time with family? Like entrepreneurs know it's like, dude, there is no balance. It's all business, business, business. But reality is you still have a family, you still have kids, you still have your spouse, you still have other things, you have charities, church, whatever. So the reality is I get it. Like, yeah, it's all business. This is your baby. This is like a machine, whatever. But realistically, you got to find a balance and figure out, okay, what's the ratio? How do I do this? Right. So Dylan, you were just saying you're reading a book earlier. I don't know if you have something that comes to mind when it's like sharing like some things that you read. But what do you guys think, like, as far as like balancing, what do you guys do in particular? Because obviously all of us are dads. We all are married. So it's like, what do you guys do? What are your tips as far as that goes? Somebody who wants to know about a little bit more on how to balance.
So it's funny because how we brought up this topic, and like you were saying, Leighton, I was reading a book called Building People, and it's by someone named Swan Wynn, and he was talking about this, and I read on this chapter this morning, and what he kind of spoke about was you have to set the expectation from the beginning. So you can't be at work all day not communicating with your family, and you can't be with your family all day not communicating with your team, right? And so he says you have to set the expectation from the beginning. So like you sit down with your spouse, if you have one, your family, whoever they are, and you let them know what the vision is, right? Like they got to be on board with your vision, because that's the biggest thing is if your family, let's just say like we're all married, right? Our spouses, if they're not on board, then all they're thinking about is the negative stuff, right? Oh, they're gone all day. I don't ever see them. They're not with the family, blah, blah, blah. But if you have the same vision, it's like, ooh, they're gone all day. That means they're working. They're building up our dream life. They're helping other people. They're doing X, Y, Z. So you can look at it both ways. And so you got to set the expectation with your family from the beginning, as well as your team. Like, hey, look, when I'm with my family, I'm, during this time, I'm not going to answer my phone, right? If you're going to call me, it better be an emergency because I'm with my family. And so you got to be present with whoever you're with, family or your business, got to be present. Because if you're there but not there, then your family's going to feel like you're not really there with them and you're always gone, even if you're physically there, because all you're thinking about is work, answering phone calls. And when you're at work, if you're like, oh, I feel bad because I'm not with my family, then your team is going to feel like you're not present and you're not focused. So you just got to set the expectation from the beginning right away and say, this is what I'm working towards. This is how it's going to be, and work on that together. I think that's going to set you up for a lot more success than if you're just like working, and your family's like not sure what's going on. Like, hey,
yeah,
what's happening here? So
yeah,
that's a huge deal.
Yeah, you got to help them understand the process for sure, man. Like, because first of all, they're thinking like, well, they might think that it's a business is just like a job. Like you freaking bust your butt, you put all the work in, you work 50 hours a week plus, you're gonna make money. That's not the case with entrepreneurship. You could, and it's very possible, but like in the beginning, especially, like you're grinding it out. Like it's like you're almost like overworked and extremely underpaid. In most cases, and you have to help them understand that. So I think that's awesome. Like just really being extremely transparent with them too. Like me and Betsy actually had a conversation a little bit ago where it was like we had to talk about, all right, so I got to figure out a schedule, and as far as like when am I going to be focused on business and when am I going to be focused on just with the family, because I'll catch myself, I'll be home, I won't be at the office, but I'll still be on my phone doing stuff or listening to a podcast or whatever. I'm not really like there. Like I'm basically, I should just be at the office, right? And that's dangerous for your relationship. Just like being at the office, like BSing with the boys or messing around, not doing anything is dangerous for your business. So this is it's an interesting one, man. It makes me reflect a little bit. But I don't want to cut Morgan off because he ready to go. He boiling. He already ready to go, man. I'm putting him on blast. Put him on the spot. What you think, man? What you got for us?
Actually, I was just gonna say amen, close it up, and be like, all right, that was like a 3-minute fast episode.
Nah, you ain't getting out that easy, bro.
No, honestly, but everything you guys said is like spot on. Just to kind of throw some different perspectives out, I would say that every vision, like whatever your goal is going to be different, and so your balance is going to be different. So I've been doing a lot of reading up on like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and stuff like that. And one of the things that's always interesting to me is like for people that are professional athletes, when they get married or they have a significant other, that significant other knows that like, all right, 9 months out of the year, I ain't even gonna see my freaking spouse. Does that make sense? Like, yeah, you're gonna see them, but like very, very little, right? Because they're either out of town, they're working extra hours around their schedules to just get even 1% better, whatever it is. And so like that expectation is a whole nother level, right? Like you basically have to be just as strong mentally as the person staying home as the one that's playing the sport, because you got to be able to hold down the fort for basically 9 months straight without your partner, right? So honestly, like you're saying, like the balance definitely is by first and foremost, like understanding the vision and making sure both people are on board. But I would say that like that allows it, that helps them to be able to be okay with it, but it still doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be balance. And I think that's one of the things, at least in my opinion, that a lot of us are, what's the word? We're like, we believe like we're trying to get balance, but I just don't know if it exists. Because, and what I mean by that is like, you're always going to be out of balance because you're going to be giving more effort to one thing than the other. And it all comes in seasons, right? There's going to be times when it's like, all right, this next quarter, we got to kill it. So it's like nose to the grindstone, freaking working early to late nights. And the family's cool with it, but it's for a certain period of time. There's an end date, right? And then after the quarter's over, okay, we're going to take a week off and we're going to go on vacation because of all the work that we did, and we're going to celebrate. Now it's just family time. So when you're busting your butt, you're hardly seeing your family. There's no balance there. But then when you're on vacation, you're probably not working, and so there's no balance there. So I think it's just like a balancing act that you're constantly trying to like serve both sides, but at the same time, you can't serve them at the same time, because then, like you were saying, Leighton, both of them are going to suffer. And so you have to serve one with everything you got, but at the same time, understanding with the vision of what Dylan was saying, that both people in the partnership, both couples are on the same page. And it's like, okay, cool, I'm down with this. Let's put all of our focus in the business for a quarter. And then when it's done, as a, I don't know, incentive, or as like a heck yeah reward, then we're going to put all of our efforts into the family, right? And so someone made the phrase as like harmony once, and there's no such thing as balance. It's all about just like harmony between all of it, whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, I don't think balance is realistic, but it's more of having each side be okay with what you're focusing on at that moment.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure, man. That makes sense because, like you said, well, like really, like all of us are saying, like there really isn't a balance, really, because you're always going to be focused on one thing more than the other. I think maybe the answer would be like, okay, enrolling them in the business, and not necessarily like, making your kid put the apron on and make them work in the restaurant or whatever, whatever your business is. But like enrolling them is like, all right, well, I have to work. Like, this is my thing. why don't you come with me? Like, let's do this. Like, let me like do this for a couple hours, and then afterwards, let's get ice cream or whatever, right? Like, and it makes it fun where it's like, hey, listen, I got to do this, whatever, because if I don't, we're gonna go to Hawaii like in a couple months. That's not happening if I don't do this. And like, oh no, no, go, do your stuff, like go get your work in, you kind of make it more fun for them, like help them understand if I don't do this, then we don't live like that. Or like if I just, get a normal job, then we're gonna live like, so and so, and that's not a bad thing, but like that's something we planned. Remember we wanted to do this, like, oh, that's right. Okay, yeah. Like just helping them understand more because we have the mentality of that, but like I think it's just I'm trying to think of the word, I guess like translating that and helping everyone around us understand that too, because entrepreneur talk and all that makes sense to us. Like we love it and everything, but like that doesn't make sense to everybody else. It's like you're gonna like kill yourself for 10 years so that the rest can like be like amazing. And that sounds like crazy, which I don't know how that sounds crazy, but like to a lot of people that doesn't make sense. Like, dude, I'd rather just cruise for like forever. I'm like, what? That's freaking nuts. So anyways, man, yeah, 100%, dude. I agree with you guys for sure. Um, Dylan, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Yeah, so I was just thinking about it. Like I spoke to someone the other day, and he I won't say his name, but super good guy. He works for a pharmacy of 21 years. And I was talking to him a little bit, and we were talking about like goals and dreams. And I said, I want to retire in my 30s, right? He was like, what? Like, what the heck? And I said, but I'm going to be putting as much work in now as someone would in 40 years in the next 5 to 10 years. And so that is going to allow me to have all my life back plus more. And that, what that did for him was it opened something in his mind where he was like, oh my gosh, like, I didn't even think of that. And so I think about it like this, like say you work until you're in your late 60s, and you're just like working day to day, you go to your job and then you go see your family, right? And you're doing that for most of your life. Are you intentional with your time? And that's the main thing. It doesn't matter if you're entrepreneur or employee. It's just, are you intentional with your time? Because you could have a job and still not have any time for your family.
Mm-hmm.
Like Morgan, you worked as an administrator and you had no time, and so that was a job. It's not like you were self-employed or a business owner. And so I think it's like you just have to have a reason for what you're doing. Like you said, Leighton, if you're at the office just like chilling on Instagram, having fun, excuse me, then your time is in vain. Like, go spend time with your family. If you're going to do nothing, just go be with your family then.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going to be at the office, I'd rather someone be at the office for 4 hours and do just as much as someone who's at the office for 12, fooling around. Like, just be specific, do whatever you do with your time, have it be towards your goals, and cool. But if it's not, then you're just wasting time. So if that's like, hey, look at your guys' goal is to retire in 5 years, you're going to have to work insane hours.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to see your family probably for 5 years. You're not going to take a vacation for 5 years. Maybe that's not the vision that your family has. Maybe they want to see you on the weekends, so it's going to take you 10 years, right? Like, you just got to figure out what it is. But the thing is, when you figure out what it is, you have to stick to it and do it. Because if you have to plan it, pre-plan your day, have it all planned out, and every single day I have to get XYZ done, because if not, then that's going to push it back more time. And your family's going to be like, what the heck? You said it's going to be 10 years, you're done. Now it's 15 because you fooled around a little bit. Mm-hmm. So just make sure you're cautious with your time, like kind of you mentioned. That's what's going to get you the most harmony, is being intentional and specific with what you're doing with your time.
Definitely, man. Being intentional is huge for sure. Like, again, another important conversation we had was like, all right, well, if I go in at this time, I need a specific window of when to like have my head down and work, like actually work though, and not messing around. And I think we all have to be like brutally honest with ourselves and be, all right, what can I handle? What can I withstand without getting distracted? Versus just setting this unrealistic goal. Like somebody even working 8 hours, for some people, 8 hours straight is like, dude, that's brutal. I cannot focus for that long. Like I need a break. I need to do this. I need to step out. I need to go drive or whatever. They just can't do it.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Some people just work, they're more like, sprinters, like real quick. Let me just put in a couple, like 2 hours, and then let me get a break real quick. But I come back and I go hard. Like it's just, there's different ways to go about it. I think we just got to be honest and be, like you said, intentional and specific on how we personally work. It's the same thing with like going to school. Like not every person learns the same way. So not every person works the same way. So
Yeah,
that's
for
good,
sure.
man. That's really good. Give me something to think about. Thanks,
And
man.
that's kind of like myself, like you said, like I'll and even Morgan knows, like I'll be working and then I just leave and go for a drive
Mm-hmm.
and I'll come back.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't sit there for 8, 10, 12 hours straight and just work.
Yeah, I'll
I
be
need to
burnt
take
out.
little breaks, you know? So like for me being vulnerable, um, say someone wants to retire in 5 to 7 years, it might take me 10 because I'm gonna take some extra time to go on those mini vacations with my family for many reasons, but one of which is my freaking attention span is is not long enough. I'm like, I got to change things up, you know, got to go for a drive, got to go get some ice cream, come back, start working, you know. So for me, that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that like work for 15 hours a day for 5 years and retire.
Yeah.
I that's not what I'm willing to do. I'm going to take a little bit longer
Mm-hmm.
and take those breaks in between. So
Yeah, everyone's different, man. I'm the same way. Like I was sitting in the office the other day, like I was like in the other room, obviously by myself. And I'm doing stuff, and like a couple hours went by, and I was just like, then I felt myself just sitting there, and I was like, bro, what am I doing? So I literally just went down the street to Trader Joe's, got some cookies, got a snack real quick, came back, and then I was like, cool. But like for a minute, like I literally, it's like I felt my eyes just like going two different directions. I was like, what am I doing, bro? Like so you gotta know yourself to where you're like, all right, bro, like now it's making it worse. Like figure it out like before you need to be productive. So but I want to bring it back to you, Morgan, because obviously you guys are brothers but you guys are completely different. Well, not completely different, but I know you guys like as far as how you are able to work or what you're comfortable with is a little bit different. So with you, Dylan, you're saying that you would rather space it out because you want breaks and this and that. But then Morgan's like, I want to get there like quicker, so I'm just down to freaking just ram this thing like crazy. I'm gonna max it out like, and not this. It's like maxing out in different ways. So I think it's interesting. But like, did I get that right? Like, how do you feel that you work best before we wrap it up?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say you hit it on the head. Like, of course, like every now and then, right? I want to take a break, get up, stretch, like whatever. But I'm not to the extent of Dylan where he needs so much variety, where he's like he needs to like go to other like offices to do appointments or just like be in a different environment, different environment. Like, yeah, it's cool. I like it, but it's not something that I need to have.
Mm-hmm.
And so uh yeah, if I have everything right there and I can just keep pounding it out, that's really what my vision with my wife and I is right now is just to pound it out as fast as possible, um so that we can hit right, because obviously I'm a little bit older than Dylan. So I feel like I've lost time. I got into the game late, which obviously it's never too late. You know, I
Yeah,
people would probably think I'm stupid by saying that because
I was about
I'm
to say, bro.
young. I know, but like,
yeah.
but man,
Like,
like especially you guys know, like people in our industry, there's some people
yeah.
that are young and they're freaking
Yeah,
crushing it, and I'm like, dang, if only I started when I was like 22 or
yeah,
whatever.
that's
But
anyone, bro.
yeah, I
That's
know.
even in the skate industry, bro. Like I see these little kids, I'm like, man, freaking little punks, bro. Like I started when I was 11, and I was like old, like older, anyways. So it was like, dang, you're 11. Like some kids start when they're like 6, 5, 6, whatever. But you're never like 11 is still young, is what I'm trying to say. Just like
Yeah.
you're still young, you tripping. But anyways, back to your story, bro.
No, that's true. So yeah, for me, it's just trying to literally like, if I don't take a break, if I don't I know it sounds bad. My wife, I don't know if I should say this.
Talking about eating
I was
food.
gonna be like, if I don't eat, like whatever
Yeah.
it takes, and my wife's probably like, this freaking punk. Like, I know he's not eating, but no, I do eat. But what I'm saying is like, I can push it out and be like, no, I'm just gonna keep working. I'm gonna keep working. I'm keep working. Which, anyways, obviously, talking about health and stuff, that's a different topic. But the main thing I would say is like you guys were all saying, is know yourself. But truly understand the current path that you're on. Is it going to give you what you want? And that's the one thing that kind of frustrates me about society, because there's way too many people that are employees that want what a successful entrepreneurial life will give them, but they're not willing to do anything different. Does that make sense? And like, that's what irritates me, because I'm like, dude, you want what an entrepreneur can create after 5 or 10 years of hard work and that lifestyle, but you're working a 9 to 5, making $2,000-$3,000 a month. And that 9 to 5 is really like 9 to 8, because they freaking control your time, and they're like, oh, nope, we need you to stay longer. Right. And like, you're already unbalanced with your life anyways. And so I think it's like, what do you want? What do you want? Do you want to live that life as an employee? That's cool. But understand that life that you're going to receive as an employee, it's probably not going to be the same life that you would be able to receive as a successful entrepreneur. But at the same time, if someone's doesn't care for that type of a life and they are an entrepreneur, well, maybe it's not the best route for you. Maybe you need to go back to becoming an employee, right? So regardless, it doesn't matter what you want, but be honest with yourself. Don't be delusional. Like, just straight up, like you kind of said, Leighton, like, take an inventory. You know the truth. You can't lie to yourself. Just be honest. What kind of a lifestyle do you want? And then figure out, am I on the right path? Is there any chance for me to get there? Like, do I have any chance with my employment to be able to get to that lifestyle? If it's a no, well, then change it and then figure out what you need to do to get there. If it's a yes and you're happy with it, and you're happy with the type of life you're living and the outcome that's going to come from it, well, then cool, stay there. That's fine. So at the end of the day, I think that's what's most important. Figure out what kind of quote unquote, like unbalanced life you're willing to give for how long to be able to receive the blessing long term. How long are you willing to do that for? For me, I want it to be like 3 to 5 years max, right? Dylan said maybe 7, right? Maybe 8. But then there's people that are employees that work for 40 years, and all they're hoping is that they get their $2,000 Social Security check by the end of it, right? But that's the lifestyle they're going to live, is a $2,000 check coming in every month for the rest of their life after they worked until they were 67 years old. So just figure it out. What do you want? What are you willing to give? And then once you've figured it out with your spouse, then have that conversation of, are we both aligned with this vision? Yes. And then create your schedule to be able to be as present as you can wherever you're at, to be able to kind of serve both sides, but individually.
Nice. Hey, always love the good closeouts, man. Super good, man. Honestly, this was something that really made me think too, because I've been thinking about this already over the weekend anyways. And so I think this was the perfect timing for me anyways. It's one of those things where it's like what I always say, like where you go to church and it just happens to be exactly what you need to hear every time. I felt like this, bro. This conversation was really good, man. So gives me something to reflect on. And hopefully everybody watching too. It's like just basically closing points. Just got to be brutally honest with yourself and know how you work, how you function, how you're the most productive. And let's get this money, man. Let's build this empire. Let's make it happen. Know yourself, bro. So anyways, another good one, bro. And we'll see you guys next Tuesday.